From the shores of Galilee to the very heart of Rome, the story of St. Peter is a journey of courage, weakness, forgiveness, and unshakable faith. Before he was called Peter, he was Simon, a simple fisherman who rose before dawn, casting his nets into the quiet waters of the Sea of Galilee. He lived an ordinary life, unaware that a divine calling was approaching. One day, Jesus walked along the shore. He looked directly at Simon, and with a voice both gentle and commanding, he said, "Follow me." In that moment, the life of a fisherman changed forever. Simon became a disciple, and Jesus gave him a new name, Peter, the Rock. Jesus entrusted Peter with a mission of extraordinary importance. He said, "On this rock I will build my church," and placed into his hands the symbolic keys of the kingdom of heaven. This moment marked the beginning of a leadership role that would echo through centuries. But Peter's journey was not without struggle. He stepped out onto the stormy waters, taking one brave step after another toward Jesus, until fear overtook him. As the wind roared and the waves rose, Peter began to sink. Yet even then, Jesus reached out and saved him. Through moments of faith and moments of fear, Peter's humanity shone clearly, a reminder that even the strongest believers falter. On the night Jesus was arrested, Peter faced his darkest trial. 3 times, he denied knowing the one he loved. And when the rooster crowed, Peter was overcome with sorrow. Tears streamed down his face as he realized what he had done. But those tears were not the end, they were the beginning of his transformation. After the resurrection, on the shores of Galilee once again, Jesus approached Peter with mercy, not condemnation. 3 times he asked, "Do you love me?" And each time Peter answered yes, Jesus replied, "Feed my sheep." With those words, Jesus restored him, strengthened him, and entrusted him with a mission to guide his people. Peter became the leader of the early Christian church, preaching boldly, healing the sick, and strengthening the hearts of believers. His faith carried him far beyond Galilee, to Antioch, and eventually to Rome, the center of the empire. In Rome, Peter faced great trials. The Christians lived under the shadow of persecution, especially during the reign of Emperor Nero. As flames consumed the city and fear spread, Peter remained steadfast. He refused to abandon the believers he had been called to shepherd. At last, Peter was arrested and sentenced to death. Tradition tells us he chose to be crucified upside down, saying he was unworthy to die in the same way as Jesus. And so, with humility and courage, the fisherman from Galilee gave his life for the faith he once denied. But his story did not end with his final breath. Over the place where he was buried, a great basilica was built, St. Peter's Basilica, a monument to his faith and his sacrifice. And from Peter, an unbroken line of successors has continued across 2,000 years. The leadership Jesus entrusted to him, the mission to guide, to protect, and to unite the church, lives on in the papacy today. St. Peter's journey reminds us that God does not choose the perfect. He perfects the willing. From a simple fisherman, he raised up a shepherd, a leader, a martyr, and the first pope of the Catholic Church. St. Peter, the Rock, the Apostle, the first pope. Pray for us.